Hello again. I'm so sorry that we stopped recording just as I was giving a second communication from someone who was trying to relay information back to a loved one here. This of course is still part of the service, and because but because many of us are now in isolation from our usual social groups and meeting places, and particularly in our case our spiritualist churches and our meetings that of course we rely upon to give us that upliftment and boost, knowing that we're among people of like mind. But here we can feel at home, I hope, because I feel that I'm also among people who are of like mind, even if you're not here right now, this minute in this room. At the same time, I know that we are making that connection, and that lovely spiritual connection, and we're also making a connection at this point in the proceedings with our loved ones and our friends on the other side. And I was just being given information by this young man who had passed over not that long ago, and he was telling me that he'd had a debilitating illness, and he'd always been so fit, and he's showing me a football, and I'm sure that he was full of beans, as we say, and he was struck down in the prime of his young life. So he just wants to say to people listening that he knows who they are, and if it's possible, he's saying for a friend to pass any message on to say that he's all right, that he's fine. Please do that. So anyway, I'm not privy to all these ins and outs of communication. I can only relay what I'm told and what I see. So there you are. So I'll say God bless to him and to his family that are still down here, and I hope that you recognise this young man belonging to you. He's tried so hard to get through. It's a bit like a sort of bargain basement sale over there, because they're all rushing to try and make contact. And of course this is quite an extraordinary situation, because I've no idea who I'm actually sending these communications to, but of course they do know, and that makes it all right. So as we've resumed this part of the service, and there are so many people over there, thank you. And to round things off, I think, for ourselves, I have a lovely couple that come through. They went within 2 years of each other, I'm told, having had a good long life together, lots of ups and downs. I see, I think, yeah, so their oldest son will be watching, I see. So there you are, you know who you are. Lovely couple. And of course, like many people, they lived a decent life, and if they had upsets and so on, they would keep them to themselves, so there wouldn't be much point, they say, in telling you all the ins and outs of it, because they wouldn't have when they were down here, and so people wouldn't know, and that was the way they wanted to keep it. But nevertheless, they got through, and they enjoyed the good times in life. They were both around 80 years old when they passed, and they've not been gone that long. And they left behind quite a big family. And he's laughing and saying, well, of course, they didn't have television in those days. And she's nudging him like that, going, no. So perhaps you'd recognise that, nudging and tutting like that to him. And that they're quite known to sort of, sort of be like that with each other when they were in company. And of course, yes, all right. Well, I say that she was a good cook because she wants me to, and he's agreeing with that. And they're showing me lovely dinners, and it was traditional food. They liked good traditional food. They like good traditional things. And okay, thank you. It looks like he has a couple of fishing rods there in a cupboard, and an old bag of some sort. I don't know what that is. He's saying you put things in it, love. All right. That's what he said. So I know that those that they left behind are very sad not to have them around in this world anymore. And there's plenty of good memories of gatherings when they were there, and the enjoyment that they spread around themselves. Life was quite hard for them, really, but you wouldn't have thought so the way they were. Lovely people. And mentioning a Mary here, so I will mention that name to you. And they were quite happy when they did eventually go. They weren't without each other for too long. And they had family over there, of course, that they were looking forward to actually seeing. And lovely people. So I'll say God bless you. I hope that you've quite enjoyed that contact. If you get the opportunity at some point in the future, when all these restrictions are lifted, to get back to going to a spiritualist church, or that you go to your usual one, if that's, and hopefully this has helped you a little at this time. You mustn't be too stressed about everything. We can do things indoors, and if you have the opportunity to go outside, you don't have to see anybody particularly. Just have a little commune with nature and know that your loved ones are there with you too. One of my favourite hymns, which I will not bless you by singing, is In the Garden. And as they used to say, you are closer to God's love in the garden than anywhere else on earth. So, of course, we haven't had the Vesper hymn, and this goes with our service. So let's sing the Vesper hymn together, much to the delight of all those who love us in the world of spirit, who would appreciate it no end. So it goes like this, doesn't it? Grant us thy peace, O God of peace and love, who dwelleth in the shining realms above. Grant us with thee forever to abide, where is no night or falling eventide, till that day breaks and earth's dark shadows cease. O God of peace and love, grant us thy peace, thy peace, thy peace. There. Amen. I'm sorry about that, but it's the words, and the tune is lovely, even if I did murder it a bit. So I'll say God bless you, and thank you for joining me on this little excursion into the world of spirit and into the world of our mini service I hope that you've not had your enjoyment spoiled too much by the breaking proceedings. And I'll say God bless you. May the peace of the Great Spirit be with you always.